job, a part-time job, a family, right? And also I am joined the board 2 years ago, and 10 months ago became the president. And I have been trying to be the executive director. So we have been, I don't want to give you the impression that I've been sitting back doing nothing, or that the staff has been sitting back doing nothing over the past 10 months, because it has been a scramble and it has been chaos and stress. The bed bug issue, we were given a choice grant to, um, and they came in, they hired a company and they came in for $17,000. We had a treatment, and then they come in monthly with another treatment, and yet that is not enough. We are currently without a shelter manager. And so the two case managers are stepping up, and we're getting different cots from, I think, Red Cross, and we're getting different blankets that are disposable, because, and with the rest of that choice grant, we got 2 washers and 2 dryers, because our old washer and dryer was not cutting it. So now we can wash linens and wash the people's clothes, because bugs come in on people. On Friday, I don't know who else is on this meeting, and if I'm offensive, I apologize, but on Friday, I got a call that one guest had showered, and the next guest went into the shower, and there were hundreds of lice around in the shower. So that was another crisis. So guests bring in things, and then we try to mitigate it. So the new washer and dryers are going to be really good at washing guests' clothing and washing bedding. And so I guess what I want to say is, we have not been sitting back just smoking cigars. We have been working very hard to respectfully house the homeless, and also help them to get on their feet and to get their own residence and support. And I know that it is not pretty, and we don't have money to cover our bills. And so we are also trying to address that. We've had, with the grant from the state, we've been able to address our policies and procedures that Melissa has been asking us to address. And we've been able to really help the bookkeeper to make accurate invoicing with our first error-free invoice. And I don't know how long, I don't know. It's probably maybe over a year, maybe more. And so we're working with volunteers or staff that are paid, not enough. Our bookkeeper is paid $24 an hour. And so it is really a struggle. It's really a stress to try to effectively meet intense needs, people who are unhoused or unhoused for a reason. And that's a lot of times a mental illness, a drug addiction. Let me speak, Randy, to your question about, oh no, it was Kevin. Drugs being dealt by staff in the building. And I don't know if that's because that was a complaint that I'd heard a few months ago, and Miguel Gutierrez, he's on our board, and investigated and felt confident that it was unfounded. But if that is a rumor going around again, this is the first I'm hearing of it. And so I will investigate further, and I appreciate being informed about
I'll
it.
jump in on that one because I also separate, because it's not like me and Kevin hang out together. We can't. So when I'm hearing something and he's hearing something that's coming from different places, but I hear the same thing. And the question I would ask you on that is, I understand now the camera's been turned off again. And from what I was being told back in the earlier time, the cameras would go off. That's when it would happen. Then the cameras would come back on again. And I understand the cameras are being turned off again. That's from the staff, or from the people that are there and the staff that's there.
Okay, so the cameras, there's a camera issue thing. I want to personally invest in new camera system, because I guess what I heard last Tuesday at the board meeting is that that is not a functional system. And so we have to look at the functionality of the camera system. I guess it's a different system inside the building versus outside the building. And so that is something that I am looking at, and that we were going to ask a former employee, I guess, who has the only password. So there are no simple problems, and there are no simple solutions.
Yeah, just real quick, I'm a board member at Turning Point,
Mhm.
and I have been since 2018. And so I feel your frustrations. I know how hard it is to have a nonprofit and to have to, because when you get grants, you have certain restrictions, requirements that you have to follow, and only certain grants are for certain things. So absolutely hear where you're coming from. Um, and I know that every nonprofit has problems because of the grants, and it'd be great if we had unrestricted funds, right?
That would be awesome. Yes.
Right. Yeah. And it would be great if we could pay at a private um, corporations pay as well, but we can't. And so you can, and it's hard to hire people to do not working with professionals in a different type of atmosphere. So it's difficult, and I completely understand that. What I would encourage you to do is reach out to the other nonprofits, see if they can help you as well.
Right. That is part of my plan. I did talk to Susan Kershoff
Yeah.
last Thursday, and she is helping and supporting. And I have a meeting tomorrow with Colleen Carmichael. And so that is something that we have been pursuing. I guess I appreciate your feedback, and I appreciate everyone's input for definitely.
Yeah, I would also reach out to other board members on other boards to see how maybe they've worked on fixing situations. Turning Point went through some pretty hard years there for a while also. And so other board members can give you a different perspective, maybe
Okay.
ideas on ways to move forward also.
Thank you. Yes, good idea.
So Aaron, one of the main purposes when we're giving money to organizations is the hope that they'll work together. And we know that in the past. Now, I'm not saying you, because actually I know when I was getting this information, it was before you took over here. But there was a huge disconnect going on between the different entities. I put it off to almost jealousy, because you want money, the same pockets, stuff like that. But you have to work with them. Like Crossroads is a great example. They can't hold on to them, hoping that the funds will stay in because they don't get used. Same thing even happens with transit or anything else. I'm just saying that's something to please keep in mind. I want you to know, though, some of your churches and stuff like that used to be there working with you guys feel not welcome anymore, and you need everybody.
That's true.
You gotta have them all, especially if
That's
you want to
sad.
feed them. Yeah, especially if you want to feed them and you want to do it. They need to feel like they're part of the solution with you, not an enemy trying to come in and utilize your facility. And I want you to know this: I just reached out to that person, and that person says at this point they have not been paid. So just letting you know.
Okay. Oh, okay. Good to know. All right. I'm gonna send Marcia a quick text.
Yeah.
All right.
One other thing is almost a question comment. I'm not sure what I'm saying.
Okay.
Recovery Cafe is a great idea. What's happening there? I don't know if they're bringing in revenue to your place, or what if it's not bringing in revenue. I do know that there's others that might help to keep it going, because again, it's the idea of something you guys have started to work with. Need to keep it all going alive, because it gives them the opportunity to have a place to go, especially going during the winter, during the day.
So community or Recovery Cafe is under our umbrella, but it does not benefit Community Lifeline. All the funds, it has 2 grants that support it, and all the funds stay within that cafe.
Well, if that comes up as an opportunity, would you allow them to split off?
Yes,
Okay.
because it
I want
is
your-
such a valuable resource. And I think
Yes.
I have a meeting about that this weekend or this
Yeah.
week.
I heard, I understand you guys may lose the the contract with them. But if you have different options, it may not. So I want you to know is you're welcome to call me direct. I'll give you my cell phone number if you want right now, 360-490-7389.
Okay,
Main thing I can tell you from all three commissioners, I don't like to speak for them, but each one of them wanted to work. Each one of them want these people to be taken care of.
Yeah.
That I'm positive about without asking them. I already know this. That's why this affects all of us the way it does and why we're all
Right.
asking these questions right now. So we need you to be successful. So feel free to call and we'll see if we can't help you. But there's things you have to get cleaned up. One is the staff has to get paid. If
Right.
they don't get paid, and from what I understand, they blame the county, but if you don't do your paperwork, we can't pay because we have to answer to the state. There's no way
Yes.
around that. We
No.
don't have the ability to say, oh, we don't have to do it this time this way. We
no,
have
I
to do it.
appreciate the patience that Melissa and Todd have shown us and helped us through. Yeah, they have. I'm not. Oh, okay. So it was a surprise to me when I took over leadership of the board, the situations that existed. So I'm not asking for pity, but I am asking for support, and I am asking for patience and maybe help, input, personal investment, connection. I would love to talk with any or all of you about what we could be doing differently. And again, I've heard from Susan and she is on board to help us. And I will talk with Colleen tomorrow, who I have been talking to. I've been part of the meetings with Colleen and Susan and Tanya about homelessness task force. And so it's just, there's a lot of challenges.
Feel free to reach out to me as well.
Okay. Thank you, Sharon.
Okay, commissioners, any questions or comments?
Just appreciate you being here, Aaron. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
thank you. I
A
thank you
tough road
also.
ahead.
I thank you also, and I know this is a tough one today, but these people, when they're not getting paid, you can imagine. What worries me is they'll find other ways to get paid.
Right.
Okay, so and I want you to know I'm not just hearing it the stuff we're talking about the facility and the stuff going in and out of it. I'm hearing it from the residents.
Okay.
They approach me and talk to me on the streets when I'm having
Right.
and it's 2 weeks ago, it was a lot of residents. They just decided to start coming across the street from the clock tower. They just needed somebody to know.
Okay.
I have coffee and I sit out there in front of the restaurant, and then they see me and they'll come over and talk, and that's where that comes from. So
Okay.
Any other information that you can give me, or maybe
like I said, you're welcome to call
Tell
me
you?
and we could talk direct
Okay.
about anything you want.
Okay, that'd be all right. Thank you so much.
All right, anything else, commissioners? I lost Sharon. There she is. Mark, do you have anything?
Nope, just Aaron, you have my contact information now, so yeah, feel free to reach out if you need anything. I think our team of Todd and Melissa and Dave are great, and they can help you and they want to help you be successful. So whatever we can do, it's we're here.
Okay, thanks for
Before
your time.
before I close it out, Dave and Melissa, do you have any questions that you would like to have answered?
I'm okay.
I think my question would just be recommendations from the board on how much more intensive we should work with Community Lifeline. We meet pretty regularly already. We've had action plans that just haven't really been followed through on. So I'm
I
kind
was
of
looking at
wondering.
our action plan this morning, and I'm thinking that we've achieved the tasks. No?
Well, that tells you how much more in depth we have to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
So
We need one-on-one meetings. So if you don't mind, you can come down and come and sit down with the staff and maybe go over them line on, because we need to get it done for all of us.
Yeah.
You are too important to fail.
Yep.
You just are. And so I know our staff wants to work with you, but if there's still a miscommunication now, then when you put in your building, there'll be a miscommunication then, and you can't have that.
Right.
So let's sit down and go over it one more time, and I know our staff will help you to get through it.
Okay, thanks
So
so
as-
much.
Yeah, so as for your answer, Melissa, you already are. Just as you get the opportunity, you can only do so much. As you get the opportunity, please continue to meet with them. I know you're not telling them no anyway, but just don't tell them no, and let's see if we can't get this thing through the process. And I thank you for all your hard work, Melissa, on this.
Aaron, thanks again for coming, but you mentioned that you thought you might need to get new cameras. So I would recommend that you maybe get a second opinion on that. The cameras in that facility and around that facility are fairly new.
Okay,
So you might want to talk to somebody that is different than the person's that's now telling you you need to replace them. You might
Right.
just want to get a second opinion on it, because I find it hard to believe that they're less than a year old in some cases, maybe
right.
just over a year old. So yeah,
Okay.
I don't think that from a technology standpoint, I don't think that they've been surpassed with other technology.
Okay.
Mark, if I
So
can
good.
add just a quick comment on that. Dan Chandler, Aaron, actually put together the quote and coordinated with the agency that installed that. So he may be a good resource for you.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect.
All right, anything else? Hearing none, thank you very much, Aaron. We
Thanks.
appreciate you coming in and talk to us.
Take
And I
care.
look
Bye-bye.
forward to hearing that this person is paid.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, let me find my list here. Thank you, Dave. Do you have anything further for us, Dave?
No, we'll be talking again here about an hour.
Thank you for bringing that all to us. You guys did a great job, and I think it was very enlightening. All right, next up, I have Public Health, Dave Windom. Nope, that's not him. I have
Still me.
Public Works, Loretta Swanson. Thanks, Dave. We'll call you back now. No.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Happy Monday. I'm
Hi.
going to hand it off to Mike. It's a Mike and team show this morning.
The real Mike?
The real Mike, not the Mike in disguise Mike.
Yeah. Mike, on the meetings, it says that you're speaking and we have other bodies showing up.
Mike's kind of busy this time of year. So we've been getting a lot of projects done, so. And everybody's been stepping up and helping, I appreciate it too. So. And to that, Tina's going to speak about vacation number 419.
Welcome. There she is.
Morning. I am going to talk about road vacation number 419 to set the hearing for the hearing examiner. We have a Robert Thorson has petitioned for the vacation of the east half of the unnamed road on the plat, but is now known as Bahama Drive, adjacent to lot 15, block 1 in Pirates Cove. The dedication for the roads in Pirates Cove was done May 9th in 1960. It's never been maintained. We don't have any record of it being opened. And it makes it a Class A for compensation, so 50% of the appraisal. And the square footage adjacent to that lot is 1,340 square feet, costing about 13.47 per square foot. The compensation amount due would be $9,024.90. We're not deemed this portion of the road to be necessary since it hasn't been opened. So it's not deemed necessary for future use. The public would benefit from it being vacated because it would be added to the tax rolls. The petitioners have paid for the administrative fee in full already, and the compensation amount would be due prior to the approval. There has been other portions of Bahama Drive that was vacated prior to this, and it was the south end of it. So as far as that end of it, it's been vacated, and then they dedicated easements for the people to the south. So we are requesting to recommend the board approve and execute the resolution setting a hearing date
for November 20th of 2024.
Commissioners, are you comfortable with setting the hearing date?
Yep.
And
Okay, you got it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tina.
Right, next up is, we had a central stores, specialist position. They retired in, August, and so we've been evaluating the, work load for our mechanics and for, that position. So staff has recommended that, we replace the central stores position with an additional mechanic. So we'll have the same number of FTEs, but it will be doing a different, function, along with performing the same duties as central stores. So we're asking the board to authorize the conversion of the central stores specialist job to a mechanic position.
That's pretty impressive. Only an increase of $36.50.
That's pretty impressive.
Huh. I'm supportive, commissioners.
yeah,
Yep.
That was 3 yeses.
Thank you. Next up, we have our good old private line occupancy permit. Todd Lucas has applied for a permit for a residential septic transport line going across the North Shore Road at 11241 Northeast North Shore Road. And staff has evaluated it and recommends that the board approve the private line occupancy.
I'm supportive.
so am I.
Same.
Next.
Last is the designation of county permitted roads. We just converted Bierbauer Road to a chip seal surface. So now, therefore, it's no longer a permitted road. So we have to get it off the list and post the speed limit at 25 mile an hour.
Okay.
If you haven't seen that project, it turned out really well. I don't believe anybody's come in and said thanks, have they?
I was just gonna ask you that. I wonder if we got a letter. Commissioner Schutte, that's your district. Did you get a call?
Nothing I'm aware of, no.
Oh, okay.
But you gotta wait a minute. I gotta give credit to the drama that we just saw. The way that I don't suppose anybody's that was pretty good. You gotta give them extra props on that one. Good job.
One other item is Shetland Road. Shetland Road is the RID we were trying to try to complete for this year, but unfortunately we haven't got the right of way secured yet. And talking to the supplier, they would prefer to not provide us with the oil. They've been done with making that oil for over a month now. They were going to make us something in early September if we would have been ready, but it just didn't work out. And we would prefer not to go out and do a bunch of road work on it right now and then let it go through the winter and have to come back and rebuild and do it again. That's just going to cost up the cost for the residents in that sense. So we would prefer just to wait until next year and get it all at one time. So,
Kevin, that's your district, correct? Where do you fall on that, please?
So I'm actually going to spend some time with Loretta this afternoon, so maybe we can talk a little bit more about it then. I just want to make sure that we're honoring our commitments to the community and we're able to, follow through on what we told them we were going to do. So I don't know. I guess I don't really have much of an opinion beyond that. Commissioners, what do you think?
Well, I think we should let you have your discussions with Loretta, and if you think that other actions are necessary, you'll bring it back to us and we will stand behind you. That's what I think.
Yep, no, I agree as well.
Okay.
All right, what else you guys got?
that's all for me. All right.
That is it, commissioners.
Okay, do we have anything for them?
Nope, sounds like we need another road trip though. I like doing this once a month thing. It's kind of fun.
So
It is
Loretta,
nice.
what
There's
one
lots to see. Mike has been and crew have been out on Pickering Road recently, so that was a FEMA eligible slide repair project. So wrapping that up, right, this week, Mike?
So Loretta, I met with Dan again and I guess we still haven't sent anybody out there to look for the danger trees out there on North Bay. He's really concerned that there's a couple of those alders that are coming down. So please send somebody out there as soon as we can before something happens.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'll need a little bit better idea, Commissioner, about the, like, where along North Bay.
Yep, I'll get it exactly from Dan and we'll
Okay,
get that to you. Thank you.
perfect, thank you.
All right, hearing nothing
Also-
else, thank you. Go ahead.
Real quick, can you think your cruise Lynch Road looks amazing. I love the wider shoulders. So they did a
Great.
great job, and I'm sure that they're going to be easier to maintain when we get all the water coming up.
Yeah, those non-bike lane, non-walking lanes are pretty fantastic.
We don't have those yet. We just have a lot of gravel, and it just
Right.
makes the shoulder a lot more pleasant.
Yeah, there's been a lot of rock hauling, so much so that I think that Mike and Stephanie are on a daily count about, okay, how much, where are we? Keeping track.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. Please drive through and have an awesome day.
Thank you.
Next up, I have support services. Mark.
Thank you, Commissioner. Kenzie, talk about Veterans Advisory Board.
Good morning, Commissioners. So staff met with the Veterans Advisory Board to look at the VAB policy updates. We met on August 14th and September 11th. And some of the updates include just general language updates, making sure that the appropriate meeting time and location is correct, and then expanding assistance. The VAB fully recommended the changes. Did you have any questions?
I do not. Commissioners?
Nope, looks good.
Okay. Thank you.
And then my next item is we did receive an application from Nicole Gonzalez Timmons to the Timberland Regional Library Board of Trustees. I went ahead and attached that. Did you want me to schedule an interview with her, or how would you like me to proceed?
Commissioners?
Yeah, I think it would be good to interview her. I'll also just note, we got an email earlier today from the current president of the TRL board, I guess wanting to kind of convey to applicants the real time commitment associated with being a trustee on the board. And so I don't, Mackenzie, I'll forward that to you, and maybe you can share that with Nicole, and if she has any questions about the details in there, maybe she can reach out directly to the chair and have a conversation. But I think it would be appropriate for us to interview.
Okay.
And maybe add that into the questions as well.
Right, and I don't think that Dr. Sabi's term is up until the end of the year, so I would like to interview
Okay.
as well, but I'm hoping maybe we get more than one application.
Okay, what do we got next?
Got John to talk about DNR and our current Mason Lake County Park.
Morning, Commissioners. I have three things, a quick update. We have a vacancy at MCRA. The park host there moved out to Walker Park. So we have 3 applications we're currently reviewing, so that will hopefully be filled within the near future. The second piece is the rate increase for fee rates for the parks. We have a request in front of you for a 3.1% increase in the current rates that we have for 2024 for 2025 to take effect in January. Is there any questions with that?
Questions?
Not for me.
Not for me.
Me either.
Awesome. The third and final is we had a 50-year lease with Washington State Department of Natural Resources for Mason Lake County Park, which is the aquatic lease. It expired, and we have a new one in front of you to sign. If I'm not mistaken, it's for another 50 years, and it's in 2010 it was $10. I'm not sure what the The current rate is, I think it remains the same that's in the contract. So there's no increase to that. Is there any questions?
Not for me.
So John, is this the application that's on here now? Can we make sure that that's what the lease agreement is before?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure it's gone. I'll give them a call and make sure. There was no, in the letter, there was no information about any increase or anything else. That was on the 73 contract, which we thought just moved forward, but I will confirm that. It will either be $10 or none.
I like the none.
I'd be happy with the 10. 50 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with either. But if it's an increase, I think I'd like for just a quick, this is how much the increase is, and then
I will make sure I get that for you today and then back to you.
great, that'll work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. So the next item I have for you is a letter of support. So this is very similar to the ones that we talked about for PUD 1. I believe it was last week. This is actually for PUD number 3, and it's a grant that they are applying for grid resiliency project. So similar, it's actually the same awarding agency. Both our PUDs are applying for it. PUD 3's application would be specifically for the Pioneer substation. So this is out by the Pioneer School District, Shorecrest, Agate, Timber Lakes, right along Highway 3 there. You see it on the side of the road. And they'd like to do some upgrades. And so they're wondering if the commissioners would sign on to a letter of support for that application.
I'm supportive.
Me as well.
Yeah, me too. We need to keep up with our infrastructure.
Perfect.
What else you got, Mark?
I'll get that on the agenda for next Tuesday. The next item I have for you is Building 10. So we got our bids back, which is great. So it's great because the apparent lowest bidder is probably about $600,000 less than the estimate that we received. So I'm excited about that. I'm actually going through the specific details of the bids that we've received and ensuring that the apparently low successful bidder is actually got all the required documentation in there. And with that, I would like to get approval from the commissioners to move forward in negotiating this contract. And then that final contract will be brought before the commissioners for approval.
I'm supportive.
Same.
Sounds good.
Did you guys see our bid tabulations?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So looks pretty good. Better than what we thought it might be.
No, that's true. It's a lot better.
Yeah. And that is all I had for you.
Okay. Commissioners, you have anything for Mark? Hearing none, do you have any commissioner, we can do commissioner discussion now, actually, it says hold to the end, but you guys have any commissioner discussion?
Do not.
I do not.
Neither do I. So the question up next is, do you want to take a break or roll on?
I'm good to roll.
Yep, let's roll.
Let's roll. Okay, review of departments, 2024-2025 projects and priorities, community development. It was not an hour. Where's the no.
Is that me?
That's you, Kell.
Okay. I was in 1205 mode. I want to get my list here. Sorry for not being prepared. You have to pull up my original. I was just going to go through the thing and I didn't print it out. And my it never works on the web for whatever reason.
Might help if you could hear me if I turn my mute off.
I'm reading it.
Yeah.
It looks great.
On page 226 of the packet.
226?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Anytime.
Okay. Oh, and it came up and not with little squares. Okay, so the first thing is, and I'll just go in order that they're listed here, are the quarterly reports. So we're now showing our permit review times, and you've got that graph, and now that staff is all using the stop clock feature in our SmartGov program, we're more able to accurately reflect the review time that we have permits in the office and on holds at desk, rather than the time, like if we have to get back to an applicant and they have to reach out to a consultant and all that time on their end, we're no longer, that time is no longer being reflected. So we're just showing our review time. So that's a good tool that we've been using. It's going to help us with new reporting requirements from the state starting in January of 25. Our scanning project is going along swimmingly. We lost one of our scanners, Kat Brewer, and she actually moved to the UK, but she was replaced by Candace, who is awesome. And so between Candace and Asacia, they're a really great team, and they just are continuing to go through and scan our paper files, all of our paper parcel files. They also happen to have gotten moved from our upstairs planning side location downstairs. Once Dave had, part of his team move up by the hospital, that freed up space in what we used to call the training room. And so our scanners went in there, and so now they have their own dedicated space, and that's helping to remove free up space upstairs for some future moving that we're going to be doing at the end of the year.
Is that for that scanning project, Kell? Are we on track? It's a scanning project we put in place. We're paying for it with ARPA funds. We're hopeful that by the end of 2026, we would have had the opportunity to scan a lot of the old records. Where are we at in terms of what does that look like looking forward?
I haven't checked in with Mariah to do an actual, let's look at, we'll do it at the end of this year, because that'll be 2 full years that the project's been going, and then and 2 years left to go, and we'll see where we're at, and if we're at that midway mark. I think we're right on schedule. They've made more progress than I thought. I assumed that we would use all the ARPA funds. It would go through 26, and then our department, we'd either look for additional funding somewhere or just try to put it into the budget that we would need to continue on to complete the project. But it's possible, and like I said, I will know by the end of this year. It's possible that we'll get done before the end of the year, assuming we keep those staff on board for the next couple of years.
And as far as in current processes, we're creating these digital images right from the start.
Yep. And so folks, they can go on to our GIS site, click on their parcel, and look to see if land records are available. So we've gotten, a lot of parcel files scanned already, so folks can see their land records. Now downstairs in environmental health, they've done a lot of that, so people could see their environmental health records, but they'll also start seeing their building and other land use permits and other associated items from our department scanned in there. So it's pretty cool. Long range planning, you just heard from Marissa. So we are, in the middle of updating our comprehensive plan, including that capital facilities plan. You guys heard that this morning. Don't know if you have any additional questions there, or short-term rentals. We are, looking at regulations there. That would be a new set of regulations looking at short-term rentals. We currently allow them outright in the residential zones of our county. There are a growing number of them, and we held, I think, one workshop, maybe two, but we did go to the Planning Commission with the workshop, and we plan on going to Planning Commission for the public hearing regarding those proposed development regulations on the third Monday in October, so October 21st. And then if Planning Commission is able to get through all of the information and make a recommendation, that'll come to the board, or they may, it's possible, Marissa and I talked about, it's possible that they'll need an additional meeting to get through all of the testimony. We've had a lot of interest from the community, both pros and cons for regulating short-term rentals. And so we're hoping, though, even if the PAC wants an additional meeting, we're still hoping to bring something forward to the board by the end of the year. Oh, I have long-range planning and then the comprehensive plan. That's the same thing. So that got duplicated in there. And of course, SCJ Alliance is the consultant that we have on contract to assist Marissa with that work. One of the things that we've already accomplished was that 2021 IBC code. That's been implemented. The building department has done a really good job on sort of educating our contractors, OMB, and just on the new changes in the energy code. And it sounds like there's a worksheet in the energy code thing that's made things a little bit easier than we anticipated. So I think that's going well. Of course, we've at the end of last year, Michael McSims had retired, and Luke Viscusi, who was already on staff, he took over that position. And so we're still so Luke's, now 9 months into his position there, and that's going well. Some learning curve, getting him fully up to speed, and Scott Rudy, the the lead planner, and I continue to work with Luke on those issues. Code enforcement, you heard last week that DCD is, we've got the position request for filling a code enforcement officer in the building department. And that'll just assist with Jamie, who's already doing code enforcement on the planning side, but we've got building and planning issues. So just adding another body to continue to work on code enforcement issues within the department will be great. And they'll, of course, continue working with our environmental health team. SmartGov, we've made a lot of progress on SmartGov, including getting garages and manufactured homes on the portal for folks to be able to apply online through the portal without having to make an appointment and without having to come in and submit. We're still issuing permits in person, but we're hoping to just continue through the process and eventually get to where all of our permits are online through the portal, including issuing, and while also still allowing folks to come into person, as people have different preferences. And so we want to be able to get to both places. The SmartGov team has met weekly for quite some time, and they're taking a small break till the end of the year to just kind of see how the online permitting with manufactured homes, how that goes, just kind of work out the kinks. And then they'll start back up in January on, okay, what additional items do we need to go? But we've made great progress on that front. And that's thanks to the board, for allowing us to appoint a lead, so we have someone on staff that's dedicated to doing that work. A fun thing is our Permit Assistance Center. For those of you who have been in our Permit Assistance Center, it looks like you might, get a blast from the past. It's a little dated. And so we thought we were doing we took advantage of Dave Windom's team, half of them moving to a new building up by the hospital, and just kind of looking at our space needs and what have you, and decided we would spend some money on getting some furniture. We have some furniture needs as far as desks and such. It looks a little bit like a yard sale over here, or that everyone went to a yard sale, so it's a little hodgepodgey. But we decided to focus on our Permit Assistance Center and give that a good upgrade. We went to Correctional Industries down in Tumwater, and they are working on drafting up a plan, for a new furniture plan for the Permit Assistance Center that includes Brittany's position, our front desk clerical, in addition to the 4 permit techs that we have, and the counter and, the walk-in center. And so once we get that, we'll have an idea of, funding and costs and what we can afford to do within our existing budget. And assuming we go forward with that, that's something we expect. Correctional Industries then, like, they make your furniture on demand. So, if we give them the go-ahead, that would be completed within 90 days after that. And we're hoping to get that. We're hoping to get information from them this week on cost and layout and, what that would look like. And then, in addition to our facilities department, kind of giving a fresh paint job and flooring, we would have the furniture, and then the new furniture at the permit center, use the permit techs cubicles and move those back to the planning side, that all that furniture matches. And then our building department would move over to that building side, and they would have dated but matching functional good furniture. And then the planners will move over to the building side, and they'll most of them, not all of them, but they do some teleworking, and so they're getting the but using their telework benefit, they get the mixed, matched, unmatching furniture. So if that all goes well, then you could look forward to an open house, maybe at the turn of 2025. So we're pretty excited about that. And then lastly, I have building official. Matter of fact, Mark will see that he had a request for interviews. I have 2 qualified candidates so far. And so we're looking at interviewing this week, if that works for Loretta and Mark and I, and possibly Ian, if he's available. I won't know until tomorrow. And just get that replacement for Todd Cunningham, who recently left us. And that is all I have.
Do we have questions for Kell? Let's not all scream at once.
Nothing for me.
No, great job, Kell. I am curious though, just a little bit about the workshop on with the PAC regarding the short-term rentals. I'll be curious to hear what they all come up with when the time comes. If you would share it, as quickly as we can hear it, because I'm still curious when we're going to get on that. I got approached by a lot of people actually over the last couple of days at an event I was just at, and it's like they don't even know we're working on it. And I know we had so many people that commented in. You figure everybody would know by now, but they don't. So.
Yep, and Marissa does have a list of those who want to stay in contact. So once we get the materials for that October 21st, everyone on her list will get that. And anyone who's listening now that is not on the list, or they're not sure if they're on that list and they want to be notified about short-term rental activity, whether it's the workshop at the or the public hearing actually at the planning commission, or even moving forward when it goes to the board. They could contact me or Marissa and get put on that list.
Thank you. All right, if there's nothing else for Kell, have a great day.
Hey, Kell, just
All
real
right,
quick.
thank you.
Oh, wait a minute. She couldn't let you go. What you got?
Sorry, Randy.
It's all right.
Unmuted after the fact, but so the two scanning staff, how, and you probably said this, and it probably went in one ear and out the other. How long will they be there? What's the timeline for that?
We have it budgeted through the end of 2026. So another 2 years and 3 months.
Okay. And do you think they'll be done by then?
That's what I'm hoping to find out when Mariah and I get together near the end of this year. So we're almost at the end. We want to evaluate, okay, now we've done the project for 2 full years. The beginning, I would say the first 3 months, we spent a lot of time just kind of organizing on how we were going to do the project. So I would say at the end of this year, it will be a year and 9 months that they've been dedicated on working and scanning. And so we'll have a good idea on, are we going to be completing that in the following 2 years, or will we still have some additional scanning work to be done even once the ARPA monies run out? Because I want to work with Kathy on our budgeting to make sure that if we have more work than what the ARPA funds can pay for, that we complete the project, and that it doesn't just like, okay, now we have these, we did all this work, but we still have 2 file cabinets left and no money to do it. I want to confirm that we can complete the project, even if the ARPA funds run out.
Very good. Yeah, that was it. All I had.
Oh, and I guess I'll just say on that, for new stuff that's coming in, we are working on a workflow so that as we are working with new paper that comes in, that is getting scanned and uploaded. And, a lot of things go to our SmartGov, but they also then need to get into land records. And so we're continuing on that work so that we don't have a future buildup of more paper that then we have to look at funds to scan. That we'll have a process in place that it's just like downstairs in environmental health. Shelley does all the scanning, and so they no longer have, a paper buildup.
Great, love that.
Thank you very much. And I'm sure the people down below you are not worried about their life as much as they used to be.
I know. Maintenance has removed a lot of cabinets. It's pretty cool.
It was crazy. I was afraid to step too hard when I walked upstairs.
Yeah, it's
bring it all down.
cool.
All right. Thank you very much. Next, we're
thanks.
going to go ahead and move into Dave Windom. Hi, Dave.
Hey, and we're happy those cabinets are leaving too.
Yeah, I know. That's what I meant.
Yeah. So, good morning. So, a question right off the bat. Do you want us to share a screen to go through the list, or would you just like us to talk this through?
I'm comfortable with you talking through. I have your stuff. So talk us through and hit the things that you think are the most important.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start off with Melissa, and then I'm going to take Ian's place.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not sharing my screen, but I'll go through these activities. So, the first item on our kind of work plan for the year, something that we've been working on for a while. We've opened WIC, but we want to kind of shoot for a higher caseload, which is 500 clients. This is the state's goal for us for the year. I can tell you that as of like the middle of August, we're already over 400. So I think we'll absolutely be able to meet this caseload, no problem, by the end of the 4th quarter. And we're really kind of looking now at how do we fill some additional gaps in services to families, prenatal care. Rachel is starting, actually, she has her first class starting October 15th. It's a breastfeeding support class. There aren't nearly enough breastfeeding or lactation support opportunities in the county. So that's a gap that we're hopefully willing to fill. And I think that there's also been a lot of excitement and interest in it from WIC clients. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And obviously, I think that there's some other items that we'll talk about in the next one, but expanding the family planning will kind of fall into this category as well. The next item I don't think you've heard about this nearly enough. We haven't talked about it enough. Expanding our mobile outreach to include not just syringe service program, but also clinical services such as wound care, STI, HIV testing and treatment, and hepatitis C testing and treatment. The board has been well briefed on this. The Board of Health has been briefed on this and gave their blessing. And I think you've actually already approved this as of the last action agenda, or it's coming up on the 8th, to go ahead and expand those services by including home service as a method of really expanding our reach to meet this population where they are, a population that otherwise would not seek these kinds of services elsewhere. We're really excited to get forward with that. I think that where we are right now is just identifying what trainings are needed by the staff who already work here, and hiring up so that we have outreach partners for all of the work that we're doing. The next item, updating and implementing a department subcontractor monitoring and risk assessment policies and procedures. There's already an existing policy and procedure that the board approved. I want to say it was back in 2018. I mentioned earlier the board by resolution adopted an addition to the county's policy and procedure around subcontracting and purchasing. We want to make sure that we're definitely aligning with the county's policies and procedures and not expecting anything more than what's required and reasonable, because we do recognize the work that our agencies and our subcontractors do is really important. We don't want to create more of an administrative burden on them, but we do also want to emphasize the importance of safeguarding the funds that we are paying agencies to use for the work that they're doing. So it's really a balance. Todd and I specifically, at least in regards to housing, have met with the Department of Commerce to kind of communicate what some of the challenges have been with their policies and procedures around monitoring. So we're also wanting to ensure that we're aligning with their expectations as well. And that's something that actively working on now. I really hope to have that done by the end of the year, and it will be reviewed by the board and approved so that we can adopt it and implement it with our programs. The next item is promoting immunizations, specifically for childhood vaccination rates. During COVID, childhood vaccination rates, I think they went down like 133% during the pandemic. There's a lot of fear around vaccines and immunizations, a lot of education that's really needed, especially for that age group. And I think with school being remote, that was another barrier to really kind of making sure that there's compliance with what's required by the schools for vaccination. So this is something that our public health nurse who works in maternal child health programming has been working on for a little bit over half a year. I think she started working on it a little bit earlier this year in the spring. It's really kind of starting off with doing a little bit more surveillance and working with the state as well as schools, school districts, childcare providers to make sure that they're aware of what the recommendations and the requirements are for school age children to be vaccinated, as well as getting the Washington State immunization improvement system up to date. There was also a lot of connectivity issues with some providers. The data that was entered into the system wasn't actually linking up with what we call WAIIS, the immunization system. So that's another barrier, I think, for data being accurate. Getting everybody up to date and getting access for childcare providers in that system will hopefully improve our numbers a little bit. But we're just going to continue to work with schools, and the Department of Health Caravan actually comes out and does pop-up clinics when needed. So that's kind of a tool that we've been using to help get more families access to vaccination. As well as doing community education, because as I mentioned earlier, I think there's a lot of misinformation about vaccination. So that's something that our health educator has been helping with as well. We're also getting ready. We're gearing up this fall to do a request for proposals for treatment sales tax. This is also something that we've talked quite a bit about over the last year and a half, which is adjusting the contracting cycles to align with the actual budget cycles for treatment sales tax. So rather than going on a July 1st to June 30th contract cycle, we're looking at going the calendar year, which is January to December. So we're going to be releasing that soon, just to fill gaps in behavioral health services that aren't already available in the community. Next item is identifying and developing key performance indicators for all of our programs. And this kind of goes hand in hand with the next item, which is to conduct a quantitative and qualitative analysis of all of our programs. This is important on a number of different levels. I think one, we want to know that what we're doing is working, and if it's not working, how do we improve it? Developing ways to measure the work that we do is really key in that process. Our epidemiologist, I'm sure Dave will talk a little bit about this as well, has been working on setting up a way for tracking using a software called ClearPoint Strategy, which is going to allow us to actually visualize and create reports and things that we can present to the board when needed, in updating on how our programs are going throughout the year. And then finally, a piece to this would also be kind of the public accountability that we have. Again, we're using a lot of public funds for the work that we do. How do we communicate to the public and to our funders that what we're doing is working and is actually producing outcomes? That's to generate, create kind of a dashboard that really communicates that visually in a way that people will understand. So that's kind of the last item. And I think if we can get the key performance indicators identified and really set up in the tracking system by the end of the year, it's something that I really hope to launch in the new year, and in a web-based format that's easy to access and update. And that is all of the items that I have for community health. Are there any questions?
Questions, commissioners? Nope, great job, Melissa. All right, Dave, what you got?
Okay, so I'm going to add a couple things to Melissa's. With the advent of our new building, so we have had a great 2024. To this point, we've gotten some things done that we didn't, anticipate it jumping quite as much as it WIC. Went from 0 to 300 in just a couple months, and now we're up to over 400. So WIC's been great. We have our new building, which gives us capability for clinic work. So we've done a assistant manager for environmental health. We are going to be doing the same thing with community health, with that person's focus being clinical work. So that will free up Melissa for doing more with the mental health and housing, and then the clinic piece will fall under the assistant manager. So we're working that piece through. With that said, I'm filling in for Ian. So just imagine me as Ian. So our first thing is we have filled, as of last week, our assistant manager for the environmental health side, and we promoted from within. So Vlad is our new assistant manager over there, and he's doing the day-to-day work and freeing Ian up for the policy work and code writing and all those other things that tend to get interrupted with just the day-to-day activities. Clean Water District, that was done already. So that's a completed item. We're doing some field days with the manager and EHS. That's going to be ongoing through 2025. Paperless processes for land records. The process is up and running. So we're doing that. SOPs, we'll finish those out this next quarter. Closure response plans, done. And that's for Hood Canal number 5. Number 6, done already this year. We have a revise of Mason County Code 6.72 solid waste code. And those code provisions have been revised or been approved by the Board of County Commissioners, and it's going to go forward in 2025. Rabies clinic, we researched doing rabies clinic, and that was just not cost effective or really effective for us to do here in the county. The vets handle rabies vaccination, so really there was no use for us to pursue that. Code enforcement, it's been a big topic that we've been working on lately. And that's going to be a continual thing as we go forward. So Ian and his crew and I are working on those things as we go forward. And then we've had, last week we had the briefing with the commission, a lot of good feedback there. A lot of complexity to that problem, and we're working with Kell and her folks as well on that. Adding more and more of our permits online through SmartGov. So that's another success. We've done some, we're going to be adding more to that. Sewage contractors licenses, we'll be putting those all on online by the end of this year, and that'll fall right into their yearly cycle of getting their new licenses. Bunch of training has been going on, and with Vlad taking over the day-to-day, that will free him up to do training as well. More around the Group B water system regulations coming out, and especially as we get clarification on some of these things. And I think the legislative session may change a few of the components of the Group B water system plan. Yeah, heard something there. Food staff, they got their new software. They're using their new software, and you're seeing reports in the paper now. So people can see what's going on with food establishments. Water adequacy has been redone. Abatement codes, we're working on those. We'll bring those forward based on the discussions we had last week in the first quarter of 2025. Working with HR, positions descriptions, that's ongoing, and other code pieces are ongoing as well. So EH has got a lot of things going, and really it's kind of divided between Vlad and his work with the daily operation stuff, and then Ian working with all the higher level things of code revisement and watching what's going on at the state. So questions on environmental health?
Commissioners, questions?
Yeah, thanks, Dave. So the one thing that I don't see on here that I think we should consider doing, I think we actually might have to do, is related to the Clean Water District. I see on there you have the bylaws drafted and approved and all that. But I do think there needs to be an annual report to the community about what the Clean Water District is doing with the funding that we've established and providing that back to the community. And so that would be the one thing that I don't see on here that should be on here.
Okay, got it.
Sharon?
Yeah, no questions. Sounds like you're going to be really busy. I like the goals.
So Dave, I had a conversation with a group that is doing cleanups and stuff. And they are here. They are working with State Patrol and others, and a few other cities and counties. And they're going to be, I'll be sitting down with them. They'll be having further conversations. They found places to get the money to pay for the stuff. And so they're not only a great resource for doing it, but a great resource for helping us to find the monies to get it done. And I'll be introducing you guys here after I sit down with them here probably next week.
All right, sounds good.
All right, anything else for Dave?
Okay, so last thing is just kind of my executive short list. Commissioner Netherland met with us a couple of weeks ago. We talked about mobile health clinics and really kind of looked at the business plan of all the providers who are doing mobile health clinic work, and decided on what things public health needs to focus on to fill the gaps that aren't being done by other folks. And we got some feedback there about, we had initially looked at going with a larger vehicle that would have a clinic room up front, clinic room in the rear. And we found that it's as cost effective to get 2 smaller units as it is to get the 1 larger unit. And set one up for behavioral health, one up for physical health. So that's the direction we're going right now. And it'll give us the ability to do all the list of things we have here, which is behavioral health, syringe exchange, wound care, Hep C testing and treatment, HIV rapid testing. And then eventually we'd like to, once we get family planning up and running, we would like to be able to take family planning and WIC on the road and go to the smaller communities, go to Hoodsport, go to other places, and bring public health on the road to the population. This is where healthcare is going. We've talked with the hospital. We've talked with the North Mason Fire and their outreach program. And I just recently came back from a national conference on mobile outreach. This is the wave that everybody's going with. It's there's so many people who can't make it in because of transportation and other issues. Well, we're going to take public health to them. So that's a myriad of things that go along with that. We'll have to get new electronic health records. We have a health record we've been using for 20-some years called Nightingale Notes, which is about a 30-year-old program. Won't do what we would like it to. So we're going to be doing requests for bids to get a new electronic healthcare records that will interface with our other providers. That's going to be our biggest criteria, is make sure that it interfaces. DOH said that they are putting together an EHR for all the LHAs to use, and they should have it ready in 4 years after spending $80-some million on putting the thing together. So we're going to go ahead and get started on that now, and not wait for DOH to they'll catch up to us. Family planning, we'll get that started in the new building first, and then take that on the road as soon as we get the new vehicle. New vehicle, we're looking at doing the purchase of that in the next budget cycle, which after the 1st of January, and we've got funding to do that. But I didn't want to add it into a budget amendment until we get solid bids in. We know what it looks like, and then we'll make a budget amendment to cover that. First of the year, we're going to start publishing, producing all the contracts for our third-party providers, get those out in March, review them in April, and then award those and move forward by the end of June of next year. So all of those are up for renewal, and we'll be revising those and then coming back to the board first part of the year, have the board look at all those contract renewals and then go forward on those. And then the last thing I have is key performance indicators are complete and published. That's a key thing for me as I look at, what are we spending? How are we spending it? Are we making a difference? And if not, then let's look at, do we need to add more to a program? Do we need to discontinue a program? Do we need to change a program? And there may be cases where we say, this is not a cost-effective thing for us to do. We discontinue and go a different direction. So it's trying to use data, logic, and reason and compassion to make our decisions here in public health. And I think it'll be a great tool for us to talk amongst ourselves and talk to the community.
So Dave, this change that you're talking about in terms of the, publishing the contract awards for third-party providers in 2025, big change from normal process, right?
Right.
This is
Yeah. So many
I want
times
to make sure that the commissioners understand what this means. So, instead of going out and renegotiating a contract that we already have in place with additional funding that comes in on an annual basis, this is actually kind of potentially, opening up this for other providers to be able to come in and provide some of these services. So, and require our current providers to kind of compete for what they currently have, right? So I want to make sure that the commissioners understand what this looks like as we go into 2025, because you may hear from some of our providers that are concerned about us doing this process as opposed to just renewing something on an annual basis.
Yeah. Yeah. And in the past, we've thought, well, we only have one provider that provides a resource. That may not be the case. There are other providers who may come from out of the area or from different parts of our area that are willing to take some of this work on.
Okay, anything further for Dave? All right, thank you, Dave. We appreciate you.
Thanks.
Other than that, anything further from the commission? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, we adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion and a second to adjourn. Hearing no objection, we are adjourned. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.